Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm in Gloucester. And in today's video, I'll be trying out this Jaguar XK 5 litre. A huge thank you to Aaron for lending me his car. And if you are an XK owner of any variant, 4.2 or 5 litre, X100 or X150, and you would like a car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. Now, I've already driven the 4.2 XK X150, so if you want the full overview, click on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. In this video we're just going to focus on the later 5 litre. So the 5 litre was introduced in 2009, kind of like a mid-cycle refresh of the 4.2. So you could say the 4.2 is the phase 1 and this being the phase 2. But around 2012 they facelifted it once again, but they kept the 5 litre. So that version, I guess you can say, is a phase 3. So the 4.2 only lasted for about 3 years. And one noticeable change is the front bumper. So you lose the round fog lights and instead you get these vertical intakes on either side of the car. And gone is that retractable aerial on the back, which kind of makes the car look like it's radio controlled. So that's another bonus for me. And overall the car still looks like a DB9. And of course it's designed by the same designer of the DB9, Ian Callum, who then went on to design the F-Type, which you can watch by clicking on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. And this particular car is the Portfolio trim, which has all the bells and whistles added onto this car. And just like its pre-facelift counterpart, this still uses the ZF 6-speed, which also made its way to the later phase 3, despite the rest of the range getting the newer 8-speed. Inevitably going from 4.2 to 5 litre meant that this car had an increase in power. And speaking of power, here are all the specs for the 5 litre XK. And once again, there is also a supercharged version of the 5 litre, once again called the XKR. However, there was a 4.2 XKRS, and the 5 litre did not get its RS counterpart until the introduction of the phase 3. So here is the front of the Jaguar XK 5 litre, and here is the key fob, exactly the same as its 4.2 counterpart. So you got the Jaguar leaper this side and you got the same buttons on this side. Interestingly, Volvo had a key fob similar to this as well. Even to this day, Jaguar still have a similar 5-button pattern, and I'm thankful that they keep the US mandated panic button on UK cars as well. Styling wise, it's very evolutionary over its 4.2 counterpart. The only big difference is the intake here. So gone is the round fog light, and in its place is this intake, which I do like the look of. Gives the car a little bit more presence, and on a black car these chrome sections do stand out a lot more. Headlights are exactly the same, so you still have the same chrome washer jet housing. It's a xenon headlight, a bi-xenon, and you still get the egg yolk effect from the amber indicator bulbs. And mandated on the US market is this amber reflector, which thankfully is clear on the phase 3. Just like the old E-Type, you got this bonnet bulge here, which is pretty much a design identity on Jaguar cars. That being said, the front emblem has been slightly altered over its 4.2 counterpart. Coming around, once again, very evolutionary over its pre-facelift counterpart. And just like the 4.2, you still get this very lovely Aston Martin DB9 inspired silhouette. The main differences are the wheels, though this car has emblems from a newer car, and the door mirror. They now house the side repeater onto the door mirror, which is the exact same door mirror that they still used up until 2024 with their XF and XE. Door handles are pretty much unchanged. This button here is the auto lock. If you have the key with you, you can lock the car. As you can see, the mirrors have now folded. Interestingly, the rear spat goes across the bumper and into the rear 3/4. And if you want to see me put this onto the front wheel arch of my F-Type, click on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. And once again, if you get an XKR, you get a lowered ride height. Coming to the back, the tail lights are different on this 5-litre car. I do like the way they look, and the clear sections of the tail lights kind of remind me of a Series 1 E-Type. You still get the same Jaguar script on the chrome trim. This is the shark fin aerial, and I'm glad they have this. Well, it doesn't look much like a fin. It's still a lot better than the retractable one that was here on the 4.2. Lip spoiler perfectly finishes off the rear end, though really it's only here for the housing of the high level brake light, but I personally like the way it looks. This car has 2 tailpipes, though if you get an R you'd get 4, and of course you get the beefier lower valance as well. Coming to the boot, once again it's been shown on the 4.2, but one thing I've found interesting is this DVD player in the back, which I cannot remember if that was in the other car or not. What was on the other car is this warning sticker telling you not to close the tailgate with someone in the back. One thing I've learned is that the fuel door isn't a push one. Instead, you have to press a button from the inside of the car. So the car's been locked, and because I've got the key with me, pull, and the car unlocks. And here's the interior, very similar to its 4.2 counterpart. But there is a major difference, and that is the center gear selector, which is a rising rotary dial as opposed to the traditional looking gear lever. I personally prefer the way this looks more sleeker and frees up much more space. The steering wheel looks like this, though the 4.2 that I drove had a wheel from a much later car. This particular car does not have the alloy pedals, though they are the exact same pedals as seen on the F-Type. Because the seats are perforated, that means it has extended leather, as seen on here and here. And if you want to see me sit in the back of one of these, just watch the 4.2 video. Now coming inside, once again it's pretty much similar to the 4.2. So here's my point of view. I actually sit somewhat higher in this car than in the F-Type. Screen is more or less the same, and same with the switchgear here. Again, glove box, just like on the 4.2, just drops. It's not damped at all. And you still get carpeting on the lower parts of the door. Here's what the seats look like. And I have been told that the final edition of this car, the Dynamic R, has performance seats similar to the early F-Type. And this leather is very nice and soft. Though being a 2011 car, contrast stitching wasn't really a thing. And again, the leather extends to the back and to the center armrest. One thing I learned from the comment section of the 4.2 video is this slot here is for the key. Like so. And again, it still has the same asymmetrical cup holders, so one is bigger than the other. And because this has the later rising rotary gear selector, you also get driving modes like dynamic mode, ASL, stability control, and winter mode, which we'll test later in this video. Showing this car's age ever so slightly, this car has a cigarette lighter and an ashtray. And here's the releaser for the fuel door. Turn on the ignition. The infotainment system is exactly like the one in the earlier car. Though one thing I'm surprised to learn, minus the fact this is all in Spanish, is that the heated wheel is operated via the screen, as opposed to newer Jaguars, which have them on the steering wheel. Also, the 4.2 had 3 buttons here for a garage, but this one doesn't. You just get dome lights and parking sensors. And of course, the headlining is in this nice ultra suede material, which is also extended onto the sun visor. And to lock the car, you simply press on the door releaser, like so, and to unlock, vice versa. And finally, here are the switches for the seats. Just like on an F-Type or a Mercedes, they are on the door. And this particular car has a dial to adjust the bolsters as well. So that's the exterior and interior done now. So let's see what this car is like to drive. So, seatbelt on. Foot on the brake. Start button. Gear selector rises. Window down. Give it a couple of revs. Sounds absolutely brilliant. So this is a 5 litre without the supercharger, and it sounds sublime. So I'm curious to see what the supercharged version of this car is like to drive. So into drive and off we go. So from first impressions, the mirrors are very large. It's been a while since I last drove an XK, and already I'm enjoying the relaxed nature of this car. So whilst an F-Type is more of a sports car, this is more of a Grand Tourer. Move the seat forward a bit and lower. Because I'm sat higher in this XK than on the F-Type, I do get to see a lot more outside the car. And personally, I don't mind the tiny back seats. In fact, I'd say I prefer these tiny back seats over the strict 2-seater layout seen on the F-Type. But I must say, everyday driving this car is doing well. The infotainment system once again does show its age, but I'd say it's a minor complaint. The only complaint is that in order to operate the heated steering wheel, you have to go through the screen as opposed to on the steering wheel. And same with the seats. Though, to be fair, the same could be said about other Jaguars. On the F-Type, it's on the dial. That was a modified Civic. Again, this car does not have the hold assist. Visibility is quite good. 3/4. Because this car has back seats, the rear window is bigger, meaning 3/4 view is improved. And of course, being a bigger car, the cargo area is bigger. And because it's a hatchback, the opening is very good. Again, I'm guessing this is just the nature of the 6-speeder, having fewer gears. It does lurch ever so slightly when you're on it. I'd say the accelerator feels ever so slightly twitchy compared to the 4.2, though that is not a complaint for me personally. But that being said, the 4.2 is a more relaxed car. What's the ride like? Yeah, ride's good. The undulations are very minimal. Though to be fair, I think the speed bumps are slowly starting to wear down, so they're starting to feel a bit flat. But over the 4.2, nothing much to disclose here. Nothing much to talk about with the speed bumps. So here we are already at the city centre. So manoeuvrability is very good and linear. Compared to an F-Type, the steering feels slightly lighter. But if you come from a Mercedes, this will feel like heavy steering to you. And again, the linkage to the accelerator does make the car feel a bit lurchy on stop-start. But I don't know if that's the throttle itself or just the nature of a 6-speeder. If only Jaguar put the 8-speeder in the later versions of this car, I think this would have been a complete package. So far, all the XKs that I've driven are hardtop coupes. So if you are a convertible XK owner and you would like a car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. But once again, nothing much to disclose here in the city centre. I suppose it's really if you want the added power from the 5 litre. I think there's a difference of about 80 to 85 horses going from the base 4.2 to the base 5 litre. And I've been talking to the owner of this car. He says the bump in power means that it's very close to the 4.2R in terms of power. So once again, if you are an R owner and you would like a car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. So here we are at the sharp left-hander. Let's see how good these seats operate and see if this 5 litre XK does any body rolling. And off we go. Any body roll? Okay, just a little bit. I am falling out of the seat ever so slightly. But again, this is more Grand Tourer first and sports car second. Interestingly, these seats even made their way onto the XKR, and it's only on the Dynamic R did they put the seat bolsters on. And also Jaguar did the XKRS, so I'm curious to see what the RS version of this car is like, both the 4.2 and the 5 litre. So one last thing to check, see what this car is like on the open road. Okay, making our way onto the open road now, and quickly putting the car into sport. So the car really drops down gears, and the revs increased by an extra 2,000 revs. And yep, as you can tell, 6-speeder, so it's very lurchy if you're on it, but I'm not quite there yet. So I put it back into drive, and yep, no lurch on drive. Once again, this lurch in sport mode is not seen on the 8-speeder Jaguars. So making our way onto the national speed limit. So back into sport and put the car into dynamic mode. Press and hold and Q. Yep, throttle response is immediately improved. It's pretty much direct. Whilst the steering wheel is very thin rimmed, it's nicely shaped here at 9 and 3. Paddles are perfectly placed, though they are the cheap plastic ones. And they are the exact same paddles used on the F-Type as well. So the video I did swapping to the metal ones is also possible on this as well. Really good kick down. Three, two, one, kick down. Yep, definitely a hoot to drive. Definitely very fun on the national speed limit. And if I just quickly put this back into drive and turn off dynamic mode, at 70, this car revs at 2000 RPM, slightly better than the F-Type, despite having 2 fewer gears. And realistically, to most people, most of the time, though really I'm nitpicking with the 6-speeder over the 8-speeder, in isolation, you'd think this gearbox is perfectly fine. And let's face it, most people do not drive their XKs like this. So let's make a U-turn and see what it's like in manual mode. Okay, on the roundabout now. This car could do with some shoulder supports when in dynamic mode. Back into the slip road. Put this car into manual. 3, 2, 1, and in manual mode the car is even more eager to accelerate. But I'm in traffic once again. Move to lane 2. Change down a gear. 3, 2, 1, and just like that, I'm at the national speed limit. Gear changes for a torque converter are very quick. Downshifts are almost instantaneous. Upshifts are ever so slightly slower. So if you need to make a quick getaway, the car can do that. Though when quickly accelerating, I'd say the car takes an extra split second to change up as opposed to changing down. So let's head back to the car park and finalize this video. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me try out this Jaguar XK 5 litre. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers!